And I want to start by talking to you about a story that Martha Creek told about a healing that happened to someone based on presence, being present. You know, being present, fully present, is the biggest and greatest gift that we can give to each other. Being present in this moment. Where's your mind right now? Being present, what is that? It's not in the past, it's not in the future, it's not in my thoughts, it's not in my emotions, although I may have emotions. I watch them rise and fall. I have thoughts, I witness them. I don't repress it, I let it be. Well, Martha Creek had an experience where someone called her and said that their loved one was on her deathbed and they wanted her to come and be there. And so she was on her way over, and the person was upset, angry with Martha because Martha wasn't sufficiently upset. You didn't hear me. You didn't hear me. She's on her deathbed. She's dying. And Martha said, yes, I did hear you. I'm on my way. You're not listening. She's dying. She's leaving us. And the person was in turmoil. And Martha said, I went to that place inside myself where I should be upset, and there was nothing there. I couldn't be upset if I tried. I said, but I'll be there. I will be there. I understand that this is most likely her last time, and I will be there with her. So the person was upset. She kept driving. She got there, and the family was there, and they were all upset and turmoil. And by the way, Martha didn't make it wrong for them to feel that way. But she wasn't in that space. So they were upset. The person who was dying had her eyes closed, and Martha walked up to her and leaned over, and the woman for just a moment opened her eyes. Later, after she was completely healed, she said, when I opened my eyes, I looked into your eyes and suddenly knew that there was another possibility available to me.
Wow.
Now Martha said, I didn't do anything. You know, we think, I'm going to heal the world. I'm going to be the healer. And I want everybody to go, heal! Nobody wants to do that, huh? She said, what I did was I wasn't upset. I was present. I was present. And she said something most likely came through me. Presence. Being present. Adding no personal energy. We talk to people and why is she looking at me like that? What am I going to say next? Oh, I got a story that's even better than that one. Present. Present. Being present. And when you're present, you start noticing things. Like, for instance, I'm noticing this church is going to completely shift. Ooh. I said it at 9 o'clock. I wonder what that minister's up to. What's he thinking? I don't have a thought in my head. I just know that church is going to shift. You know, Jane Elizabeth Hart's coming in 3 weeks, and when she shows up anywhere, everything gets completely turned over. So maybe it's about that. Not only is she coming, she's bringing a dozen or so people with her from Orlando and from Detroit and from Kansas City. All our friends are all going to be here in, I guess, 3 weeks. Maybe that's it. Being present. If you're present, you start noticing things. You notice that the energy's shifting. Change. I love it. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. Together. Change. I love it. Bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. Being present is, when Jesus was walking along and the woman touched the hem of his garment and was healed, he was just walking. He wasn't doing anything. He could feel some energy leave him, that was all. But he didn't do anything. He was present. He was so present that he was even present when he didn't even know there was somebody there. This woman. Being present. My mentor for 5 years was Dr. Mary Allen. She was a psychiatrist in California, was involved in all the human potential movement, knew all these people, and she created these processes. I've shared them before: agitated energy process, question and answer process, good intentions process, all these techniques, and she was teaching them to me just before I was leaving Palo Alto to move to Florida. And I went to see her, and she just offhand mentioned, oh, I've got this thing going on with me, and I can't figure it out. I don't know what I should do. And I thought to myself, well, if it was me, I would use her process. So I said, well, do you want me to just hold the space for you while you work on it? And she looked at me, her eyes almost bugged out. She says, nobody's ever offered to do that with me before. She'd been teaching them. She probably held the space for 1,000, 2,000 people over 20 years, teaching them and working with them. But nobody had ever done it for her. So she said, I guess so. So I was the guy holding the clipboard, and I was the guy with the pen instead of the other way around. And as soon as she started asking questions, she said this cosmic consciousness experience came over her. She was overwhelmed with an incredible energy that just came in. And it blew her mind completely. She said, I couldn't think a real thought for 5 months. I mean, she functioned, but barely. She said that it was like she felt this interconnectedness. She had this complete thing. And she, God bless her, attributed it to me. No, I was a guy with a clipboard and the pencil who was present. Where can you give the gift of presence to others? And when you give that gift of presence to someone else, guess who you're giving it to? Adding no energy. So if somebody's upset, you're present. I remember I was going through a situation where a lot of people were upset, and I got, add no personal energy to this. So I let people, as much as possible, I'm not saying I did it perfect, but people rose and fall and whatever, I let it, and then it all worked out. You let people be where they are. I let people be where they are. Together, I let people be where they are. And then you can be the witness of it. You can be a witness of them. You can be a witness of yourself. And then something happens. Presence in and of itself opens up a space for something deeper and greater, because you see that the nature of reality is miraculous. Reality itself, the underlying cause, the reality of this universe is miraculous. God is, this is a God-packed universe. Every moment and every particle point is packed with God. And further, that God essence is pushing out into visibility all the time. So if you're present, you get to experience that. But if you're not present, you whine about it. Like the guy at the well. There was a place called Bethesda, a sheep gate. It was called Bethesda because there were 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. They felt that an angel went down at a certain time into the pool, stirred up the water, and whoever could step in first would receive a healing of whatever disease they had. Now there was a certain man there who'd been sick for 38 years, and when Jesus saw him lying there, he knew that he'd already been in his bad condition for a long time. So he said to him, "Do you even want to be well? Are you so used to this?" Jesus was present with him because he knew the thing that the guy had forgotten in 38 years was his desire to be well. The sick man answered him, "Sir, there's nobody who'll put me down in the pool when the water's all stirred up, and when I'm coming, another person gets there in front of me." Jesus said to him, "Stand up, take up your bed, and walk." Jesus was not very compassionate or nice. He didn't say, oh, that you terrible, oh, you poor, oh, I'm so sorry, oh. Stand up, pick up your bed, and walk. He wasn't angry about it. He wasn't anything about it. It's like Martha. She couldn't find that place inside of herself where she could be upset. He was present. He didn't feel sorry for the man. He loved the man. Presence is love. No, love is a sentiment. It's a doilies. It's a Hallmark card. No, that's not love. Love is presence, adding no personal energy so that a bigger energy comes through. Well, that day was the Sabbath, and the man got in trouble because it was not lawful for him to carry his bed. So they asked, "Why are you doing this?" And he said, "Oh, it's not me, it's this man. He told me to do it." "Which man?" "I don't know." He went back into unconsciousness. He wasn't present anymore. He never bothered to find out who's this guy. Where can you be present in your life? How can you be present in your life? Are you stuck or are you moving in your life? And the way to get a move on in your life is to become present. Are you like a cat out on a limb, stuck where you can't go back to the trunk, you can't go forward, you're just immobilized? The answer is to find out where you are, to become present. Become present, and then and only then you will see, like that woman who looked into Martha Creek's eyes, there's a new possibility, there's another possibility. I can be creative, I can be imaginative. I never realized. And reality itself will shift. Or maybe it won't even shift, but you'll see it with different eyes and you'll see other possibilities. You'll see things differently. You won't be stuck, you won't be immobilized. Are you the person that feels, though, that you have to contend with and comply with every expectation of everyone around you? You know, they found that people who have spontaneous remissions, miraculous healings, there's a number of small things that they all have in common. One of them is they stop trying to please other people. Another thing is that simultaneously they become more present with other people in love. But if we equate people pleasing, enabling a bad behavior, making everybody happy with love, we can't be present. So the people who get these spontaneous remissions before they show up, before they're healed, stop enabling everyone. Are you the person who, if you have to be home at a certain time and you say, "I've got to leave at 9:30, and there's a real reason for it," the person whips out their 20-page essay and it says at 9:27, "I want to read this to you." Are you the person that sits there and dutifully misses out on the thing that you were supposed to do because you don't want to make them upset? Or are you the person who's present enough that you don't enable that behavior? Are you self-actualized enough? Are you willing to be who you are? Not selfish. Present. Martha Creek was perfectly okay with that whole family being angry at her because she wasn't upset enough. Because she realized it wasn't her anyway, and that person wasn't. I think somebody who had a healing and worked with somebody in prayer said, "Well, what did you do?" She says, "I just realized that you weren't that sick person. You're not that sick person. The body may be going through that, but you're something else. You're someone else." But sometimes you have to just be willing to let it go and let go of the expectations of others. I had a funny experience of this many years ago, about 30 years ago. I had next door neighbors were from Switzerland. And they had friends visiting them from Switzerland. And they had seen the movie Urban Cowboy with John Travolta about the mechanical bull and all the big country and western bars and all that. And they said, "We want to go to one of those places." Well, I knew there was one. It was in a converted aircraft hangar. And on one side there was a stage, a band would set up, and then the other band would set up, and they would take turns every hour, and people would dance the Texas two-step. And in the middle of the whole place was a what? A mechanical bull. And these Swiss people stood in line. They spoke English not so well. And they stood in line to get a chance to ride on the mechanical bull like John Travolta. And they handed them a waiver, a legal waiver, but they couldn't really read all the legalese, so they had their friend who spoke better English translate it for them, and they went, "No way." And they found out what it said that they were signing away. So then the man said to me, "Oh, I was standing there." He says, "Well, do you want to do it?" I had no interest in going on a mechanical bull, but I was standing there. Sure. So I signed it. So I got up on the mechanical bull. Little did I know that I have an immense talent for riding mechanical bulls. They have 5 levels to a mechanical bull, and it goes harder and faster with each level. In the first level, I had no problem. Everybody was being thrown by the second level. I went to the first level, the second level, but the pain started growing in my knee, which I had had surgery 6 weeks before. Forgot all about that. Third level, pain was getting worse, but I was still on it. Fourth level, and it was excruciating, and I just said, I'm not going to do this. And the whole place, there were, I don't know, hundreds of people there anyway, erupted in boos, and people were throwing. And it was like, the only way I could really get out of this situation, I knew what to do. I was present. So I got up on the mechanical bull on the 5th level, and as soon as they turned it on, I let go and I let it throw me. And everybody applauded. It was great. I didn't need to injure myself to keep people happy. Where in your life are you stuck? Stuck with pleasing people, or stuck in not being present in the present moment? I had a situation where I had gone through a lot of pain, and I was making it, I was maintaining, but I was feeling, this is about 30-something years ago, and it had been a couple of years since I'd had this really difficult experience, and I was making it day by day, but I was really living in black and white, not color. I really wasn't fully living. I was still in this pain, marinating in it, and I was awakened at 2 in the morning, and I got these words. You can decide right now, it's up to you. Do you want an experience of wholeness in the future, peace and joy, or do you want your life to be focused on the pain of your past experiences? There is a time to consciously release the past, but if you spend your lifetime looking backwards, you'll never move forwards. The past is ultimately fluff that you'll blow away as it dries up over time. And if that wasn't enough, right after that, I realized, I've got to start living. So I booked myself for a week at a resort. And it was on the beach, and I saw people out on the windsurfs, and I always wanted to go on a windsurf board. So I went to sign up, and the guy said, well, have you ever done any sailing with a sailboat? I said, no. Oh, well, then you could never do this. Really? And I kind of slunk away. I looked longing, and I went, I went back. I said, I think I could do this. He said, well, have you ever gone surfing? No. At that point, I hadn't. Well, you could never do this. Slunk away. Spent the next 4 days looking longingly at all the people having so much fun out there on the windsurf boards. So finally on Friday, I just went up to the guy and said, look, I'm going to go out on it. I don't care whether I can do it or not. He says, okay. And he just walks away after telling me which board. I said, no, show me how to do this. So he said, okay, this is what you do. You hold it up like this. When the wind does this, you do this. You want to turn this way, go this way. Basically gave me like a 30-second lesson. So I get up on the board, and I'm pretty sure-footed, and I'm feeling real good. And the first wind came up, and it knocked me right off the windsurf board into the water. So I got up again, and it knocked me into the water. 45 minutes later, I was sore all over. And the guy's walking by and says, what are you doing here? I said, well, I'm trying to ride this windsurf board. He said, oh. Click. I was still tethered to the dock. Every time the wind came up, it would jerk the cable, and I would fall off. I spent the rest of the morning in this wonderful experience. And how do you untether yourself? How do you get off the cat on the limb? How do you move? Get off of your stuck place. And how do you do that? First, you have to go within and simultaneously become present. Become present with yourself. Become present with yourself. There are spiritual practices. People say, I don't have time. I haven't been able to, I can't do the journaling or my morning papers or my whatever. You think about it. In that situation I was talking about, I began to do my journaling. I began to do my releasing work. I began to realize that I had left myself stuck, tethered to the dock. I needed to get off of it. So I took 5 to 10 minutes every day to release it, to forgive it, to write it out. I didn't know the 7-step method, but what can you do? What one little thing? It doesn't take a lot. It takes being present. Somebody went up to Eckhart Tolle and handed him a big, long program and said, I'm going to go to this workshop and this weekend retreat, and there's all these different activities to go to. Which one would be good for me? And he looked at it, he says, I wouldn't know which ones would be good for you. But I do know this, that if you just took one word or phrase and worked with it, in your mind for the whole weekend that you would have spent there, it would be worth an entire year's worth of these kind of seminars. What one thing can you do and actually put into action? Untethering yourself. I knew somebody that had a baby. You know, your first baby you practice on and you make all your mistakes with so that the second one can actually have it easier. Well, this friend of mine had their first baby and they got a book on how to raise babies. And the baby was crying like crazy and they were reading the book, you know, and trying to look up what to do. And the mother-in-law shows up and she says, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm trying to find out what I can do about this baby." And the mother-in-law, she said, gave her the piece of advice that helped her more than anything else in her rearing of ultimately 3 children. Put down the book and pick up the baby. Spiritually, put down your book and pick up the baby. Pick a practice. Pick something. Put it to work. Yeah, but it's so exciting to learn all these things. It's a distraction. Be present. Don't marinate in the past. Write out your feelings and release them. Do the 7 steps. Do whatever you got to do. It's not about techniques or methods, but it's about something. Be present. And then the other side of it is, you don't have to make everybody happy all the time. You don't have to enable bad behavior. You can love the people around you enough to let them be exactly where they are. I let everybody be exactly where they are. Together? I let everybody be exactly where they are. Imagine a church with boundaries. Can't be done, they said. A person with healthy and clear boundaries. A soul in evolution. And by being fully present, you become fully alive. And by being fully alive, you bring that life force energy and you start to move. You're not stuck anymore. You stop being a cat on the limb. You stop being tethered. You can start to move. Things start, it's like a log jam. You know, when there's a log jam in a river, there's a key log. You pull the key log out and the whole thing goes. It doesn't mean you run around and fuss with every single thing. You get quiet enough and present enough to get in touch with what's really going on. Taking one affirmation, taking one statement, taking one practice, taking one thought, and working with it. So I'm going to invite you to join with me and being fully present, being fully present. So take a breath in and let it out. And the beauty of imagination is that it's real. So we imagine that there is no past, holding us back, tearing us back to the past. We untether ourselves from that. And there's nothing to be worried about in the future. And all the thoughts in our mind are just thoughts. And the feelings that we feel simply rise and fall. And we are fully present in this moment. And in this presence is provided everything we need. In this presence, circumstances adjust and align, seemingly of their own accord. In this presence, when we know to act, we know that our action has meaning and purpose. Take a moment without thought to be really present. Thank you, God, that everything has changed because I have changed. I will know what to do because I am present. I will know what to feel, what to think, how to show up because I am present. Circumstances will align with my highest good, and I will be a force for good because I am present. And so it is. Thank you. Amen. One simple practice is this prayer treatment that we're all doing, many of us, on the unexpected income brochure. If you could open it up, we're going to use this as our offering affirmation. Just taking one thing, an affirmation, can change things if we're present with it. So take out your little flyer and look at the yellow part, and we're going to say this together as our offering affirmation. Together. I dwell in the midst of infinite abundance. The abundance of God is my infinite source. The river of life always freely flows. It flows through me into lavish expression. Good comes to me through unexpected avenues. God works in a myriad of ways to bless me. I now open my mind to receive my good. Everything true is good, and everything good is true. Wonderful and wondrous things happen. With God as my source, everything amazes me. I give freely and fearlessly into life, and life gives back to me with fabulous increase. Blessings come in expected and unexpected ways. God provides for me in wondrous ways. I am grateful, and so it is. Amen. Breathe in slowly, let it out slowly, and come into the presence of this moment. If there was no past to carry around with me, if there was no future to worry about, what would this moment be like? Come apart for a while. Find your rest. In returning and rest shall be your salvation, and quiet confidence shall be your strength. If you didn't have anything you had to do with your hands, what would it be like? If your mind wasn't busy, what would it be like? If your emotions were simply the swells of the sea rising and falling, what would that be like? If this moment was all that is, what would that be like? Come into the heart. The world will do what it will. Come into the heart. Be wholehearted. Be wholehearted even as God is wholehearted. Being perfect as the Heavenly Father is perfect really means being whole, being complete. So move into this completion in the heart. It's the only place where we experience it. And then we'll know what to do. How to be, how to feel, what to say, guided, clear thinking. Move into your heart. Be really whole as God is really whole. Be perfect as God is perfect. meaning be complete. And in our heart, we gather the strength and the energy, the life and the wisdom and the love, so that when we do move into our world, it is with purpose and honor. Quietly effective. And what of all those circumstances and people and situations? What about the outcomes that we thought we came here to pray about? Only by returning and rest shall you be saved. In quiet confidence is your strength. Come apart a while and find your rest, and all the outer world will align. And when we move forward from that center in our heart, it will be with purposefulness and peace, stature and glory, presence, take a moment. If I had no past, no future, if I had a quiet mind and emotions that simply rose and fell, what would I be? Move into your heart and be really whole. Everything has changed because I have changed. When I make my move, when I move into my world, I will do so from a completely different place. I will keep my peace, or I will speak my truth. I will do it from a new place. And the results will be completely different for the better. Because I am completely different for the better. And so it is.